Hi, this is Tom from tdjacobs.com, and this is part of a series of videos I think I'm going to do on Jupiter and Cancer related stuff. There's a first video called Jupiter and Cancer on this channel that you should look up, and it gives my general overview of what to expect when Jupiter enters Cancer, which actually now happened about 10 days ago in late June, and also what to expect for the year and how to process things. And since Jupiter entered Cancer, I've been aware of issues in my own family which present opportunity to do something, which is Jupiterian expansion comes through opportunity to act. And do we, we're going to believe in ourselves enough to actually take action and do something and risk something. I'm also hearing about just about everybody else's family. There's a similar dynamic happening, and also in community and with friends and things. So where there's a heart connection that in general needs to be fostered, Jupiter entering Cancer will make things big, and whatever's out of balance or isn't working well will need to be addressed. It will come to the surface, a welling up of what's unprocessed or what's unfinished. So that's the thing. Check out that video. Today I want to talk about the Grand Water Trine with Saturn in Scorpio, which is actually slowing down, about to go direct, as well as Neptune in Pisces. Whenever you have a grand trine, it's tempting to think that everything's great because isn't a trine great? And whoa, 3 trines, they're great. It's 3 times as great, right? It's tempting to do that, and especially and it's also when all Jupiter transits, it's seductive to think that they're always great. My own approach to Jupiter kind of echoes my approach to a grand trine. It's kind of like, well, with Jupiter, things can be great if you seize the opportunity, but you can just wallow in what's wrong or not surrender the bag of rocks you're holding in order to accept the wonderful opportunity or the impulse to act that Jupiter can bring. With a grand trine, we think trines are great. Traditionally, we've been trained to think that trines are the best aspect. They're supportive, they're boosting, they're wonderful, things get along, they speak the same language. But you can also get yourself into trouble through laziness and complacency. Complacency being a huge one that can lead to laziness. So with the grand trine in water, understand emotional issues are emphasized. Things that have to do with the heart, things that have to do with the actual feeling become very, very important. So Jupiter enters Cancer, and feelings, whatever may be happening or happening under the surface, gets expanded. But Neptune and Saturn have already been off and on in trine for a while. Neptune in Pisces wants us to surrender to the truth of what's happening, to burn away delusion and illusion, and to get to the core of what's actually happening. And how that functions is it has things in our day-to-day realities that don't work well get eroded against our will, often when we're not paying attention, meaning we're kind of getting into a Neptunian space and, whoa, look at that, kind of like being distracted a little bit, and something in the meantime is being eroded. So that's a Neptune in Pisces. It's a wonderful thing to let go of what keeps you from knowing that you are a part of the cosmos, a welcome part of the divine fabric. Saturn in Scorpio, and by the way, there's an MP3 on my site for each of Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Scorpio, where I go into like an hour-long discussion of all the different things. The Saturn one might be almost 2 hours, actually. So Saturn in Scorpio, the planet of reality check, in the sign of I cannot handle any more crap, I cannot deal with subtext, I have to be honest, and I have to look below the surface, so I need to transform psychologically through hard work, and that does involve emotions. So the setup with these 3 planets is that you should be finding that you are unable to deny dealing with what's been following you around in your life, that emotion that needs to be worked through. A feeling about yourself, a feeling towards others, a feeling about somebody else, an opinion, an idea that's based in a feeling and perhaps in an insecurity that you have, a way of dealing with your own needs, understanding what it is to need something, and that actually brings up this whole issue of boundaries, which is kind of a huge topic, but kind of what you expect from others, what you're willing to give others. All of that stuff happens in an important way through the water signs. Now, all that said, if it were just a grand trine in water, emotions would be a big deal. Everything would be up. Who needs what? Who's telling the truth? How can I, revamp my relationship to need and want, and how can I communicate clearly given, the welling up of all this emotion? But then you have Saturn is almost sitting still. It's stationing. It's close to stationing. And that adds an important element of the stick in the mud. And I got this image. I was talking this morning to my girlfriend about this and about doing this video, my idea. And I got the image of a bunch of people, a bunch of friends deciding they're going to go to the beach for a free day. You just got this idea of ease and wonderful, and we're going to have a great time, and it's going to be fun. Right? This expectation of fun has to do with Jupiter and the Grand Trine idea. We expect them to be good. And one of your friends, however, the last year or so, has turned into that kind of stick in the mud person who tells the truth way too much and will call people on stuff. And so you have this idea of this fantastic day out, and everybody piles in somebody's car, and you're going. And this person, is calling everybody on everything, and some people will say, can you just not do that so that we can all have fun? And this person says, but that's what's really happening. This kind of furrowed, you can see the furrowed brow, and kind of like, this is what's really happening. Something's wrong. Something's out of order. And that's the effect of Saturn right now as it stations in this Grand Trine. So Jupiter's in Cancer, fantastic. Feel all you can feel. Neptune's in Pisces, great. Explore surrendering what you can surrender. Explore moving in ways that move energy. That's a great Jupiter trine Neptune and water signs too, is like even moving the physical body so that you can understand how the energy flows better within you, and to move and have better access to the flow, right? Flow. But then Saturn's there, so the reality check comes in the conversation. So, my own experience of this grand water trine is not fun at all. I happen to be somebody who, let me say this right, I strive to appreciate growth opportunities, but it doesn't mean I enjoy the experiences. And, things are coming up, just me personally, as well as, everybody I know and people I'm working with professionally, where there's some emotion that has to be dealt with, but you're not quite sure how to deal with it. What I'm observing is actually that the Saturn effect of this reality check, looking at something, trying to be realistic and grounded, and actually trying to control the movement of energy and emotion. When we try to control things, we fail to see the opportunity to provide structure for them. So that's an important point here. Don't control yourself out of feeling because you don't want the truth of what you're feeling to ruin something. Let it out. Bring it up. That is a positive use of Saturn stationing in Scorpio in this grand trine. I think the opportunity to shed and release is profound. The opportunity to name a feeling, to bring feelings into conscious awareness through naming what they are. This is an incredible opportunity right now, and the reality check of Saturn, stationing in Scorpio is real. Saturn in Scorpio at any, even if it's not retrograding or stationing, brings this hard-edged critic into it who isn't afraid to rain on your parade. The idea of the friends in the car and the person calling on everything isn't afraid to rain on your parade, but the truth matters. So I don't want to say the final experience is going to be determined by how you deal with Saturn and Scorpio energy right now. But I do want to say that whatever it is that you're feeling, you have to be realistic about it and commit to developing structure to move through it, to work with it consciously in order to move through it. This reminds me of a client call I had the other day. The woman with Saturn and Scorpio who's having her Saturn return right now, her second Saturn return, and she was dealing with an intense emotional thing. And, several times during the conversation, she just said, she kept bringing it up, but she said, I need a concrete way to work through this. In some ways, we're talking about a Capricorn North Node for her about, concretely dealing with things. But this idea of the Saturn and Scorpio needing concrete tools and procedures to work through things, to work with things. So, but you can't know how to work through something if you haven't cataloged what it is. That's another thing that Saturn and Scorpio wants. All the things under the surface, all the things that are deep to come up. You have to know what's down in the basement before you can organize it or decide what you can get rid of. So Jupiter in Cancer wants to emphasize, or is emphasizing, the need to be connected to others and to feel and to belong and to accept others. To that we belong, but also that we are accepted by others, and we accept others. Also, I'll just give you another note on that. Inherent in that is the insider-outsider idea, like who are we and what makes us who we are, and those other people are over there. So that's something that needs to be evaluated now too, as far as who you're connected to and why and how. And then the Neptune in Pisces, surrendering what doesn't work, surrendering what gets in your way of feeling as though you're welcome here on Earth. And then Saturn and Scorpio, the realism of what's really happening. The critic and judge coming to the fore to say, actually, this is what's truly happening. And then for you to turn that voice of critic and judge into something proactive and positive by developing a structure, a plan to work through it. So there's some food for thought for you on this grand trine, give you some ideas to work with. Keep in touch with me through tdjacobs.com. As always, I'm interested in your questions and observations and thoughts. Subscribe. You should subscribe. You should subscribe to the podcast of the radio show that I do, which is The Soul's Journey. It airs every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific on Contact Talk Radio. The information on that is on tdjacobs.com/soul.html. And so keep in touch with me and call into the show and listen, and let's create some astrological community that can do this kind of thing with the Grand Trine. Expansion through feeling, surrendering what doesn't work, but also realism about how to get there. So thanks for your time and attention, and we'll see you again soon.